Hello, nerds, and welcome to Into the Wild, your favourite wildlife and conservation podcast where we look at all things, well, wildlife and conservation.
This is a podcast of curiosity where we know we don't have all the answers.
Oh, that's my co-host Nadia, by the way.
Hi. But it doesn't really matter because we're here to learn and crucially listen to those who are affected by and closest to the issues that we as conservationists tend to pick over from our comfy living rooms.
So strap yourselves in, open up your luggles, grab a brew, and join us as we geek out over nature, share our love for wildlife, rarely take ourselves seriously, all whilst learning. Oh, and we sometimes swear. Can I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah.
I think you might have the answer to it. Given that you live on an island, it's been on my mind all day. What does one do with a drunken sailor? Especially in the morning.
Drunken sailor, what do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Oh, did they not answer it in the song?
The answer in the song, are you?
Yeah,
it's
they
not
do.
There.
I think early in the morning, which is actually when I'm up.
This is why I'm asking you.
You know you can't buy alcohol in Scotland.
Yes, you can. I beg to differ.
But not before 11 a.m. or 11 a.m. I think, 10 a.m.
Oh, so maybe. Ooh.
So logically this is a drunken sailor from the night before.
Yeah, legend.
I think if you can't beat them, join them.
So you just join in, do you?
Yeah,
right.
On an island, yeah,
what
you have to.
With a drunken sailor? What you do, drunken sailor? What you early in the join that drunken sailor.
I'm going to just quickly Google what the words are to drunken sailor song. God almighty. Anyway, welcome to Nature News, everybody. We're gonna have quite a boaty nautical themed episode.
Not from my perspective, no.
Now I've got no water based.
No,
I've got one news story actually that could be.
No,
slightly...
I haven't got any. But how are you? How's your week been?
Very wet and cold, Ryan.
That's it.
Yeah.
You were last episode. You did say you were ready for winter.
I know. I regret it. I take it back. I do this. I'm the enemy of myself.
I'm so glad you can now admit it.
I am actually I've been doing DIY all week. I've barely left the house. I don't even know anymore. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've obviously it's bank holiday on Monday, so I wasn't walking the dogs. But in 3 days, I've done 55 kilometres. At work, which is quite a lot.
That's loads.
So I'm feeling quite tired. One of those was in the rain all day as well.
Yeah.
So that was trying. But I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm off to a hen do weekend tomorrow.
In Dublin?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Shout out to
well,
that.
Let's talk. Go on. And I think we've both been a bit wet and soggy this week, but did we see any nature?
I did. Giz a minute.
See, I'm just like, I don't think I've seen
I have.
this week.
No, I've seen it. I'm trying to think what my highlight was. I found a lesser stag beetle.
You did.
I
was actually on the phone to you as you found
it. It was really nice. So I've actually not seen them around here before. I'm not suggesting that they've just turned up, but I've not seen them, and I've seen a couple crossing paths. Seen a few deceased, and a few crossing and stuff like that. So it's been quite nice to see them.
Do you know what my nature highlight of the week was? Probably, actually, I wasn't on the phone to you. You left me a WhatsApp voice message where you were chatting away and you went, "Oh my God, what's that?" And then the voice message just stopped.
I love a bit of drama.
Oh, do you ever?
It's the only time I've admitted it, so enjoy that.
I'm not sure. I honestly, do you know what? I've had a very boring week of doing DIY, and I can't really put my finger on anything in particular, which is dreadful, isn't it?
That is dreadful, especially
you
could. It's the one segment we have apart from news on the show, and you've not even filled it.
Well, all right, nature, but you better show up better next week. I'm sorry, it's not me.
It is you. It's been there the whole time.
I'm going to gaslight nature into believing it's them.
Healthy.
All right, well, let's dive in then and see what we've got.
Okay, I'm going to start again.
Great.
we both have been on planes.
Yeah.
We-
Crucially not in first class together.
Crucially not in first class together. We both would hate any delay to our journey on a plane. It's the worst, isn't it?
I hate it.
It's the worst, especially when you're on the plane and they're like, there's a delay. You're like, why did we get to this point? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would your mood shift if that delay was down to 2 pigeons being on the plane?
Did this happen?
It's happened.
Is this a news story?
This is a clickbait news story.
Sorry, in the plane or on the plane?
Within the plane. And not in the hold. I mean within the passenger.
Within the
tube.
fuselage? I don't know what a fuselage is.
Neither do I. Could have made that up.
Within the passenger cabin?
So on a Delta plane in the US, Delta Airlines, they were about to get going, and the pilot said, and I quote over the tannoy, "I'm not dealing with this."
Oh, really?
Which is lovely to hear from your pilot, all that confidence in the world to deal with any situation.
Okay, I've got so many questions.
Well, so there was 2 on board. Some passengers filmed one of the pigeons flying up and down. You can just imagine the panic. And I'm sorry to any American listeners.
To me on flights.
Any of our American listeners, I apologise, but you can be a dramatic bunch at the best of times.
Oh, I think there were screamers. I bet there were screamers. Was there video footage?
There was. It's on BBC
Was
News.
there people just overly exaggerating how scared they are?
A pigeon as if it was a pterodactyl that had gone on the plane and just was like, ripping into people's skulls. But the flight was delayed for an hour because they had to get a specialist team in.
I would have, to be honest, those moments, I've always wanted my moment. When they say, like, is there a doctor on the plane? But if there's an ornithologist on the plane, I would have been like, my moment.
With love and respect, I just don't think it's ever going to be called out as a job on a tannoy. Even in that situation where an ornithologist was needed, I don't think people would have known the word.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Nadia. It's not going to happen.
I really want my dramatic moment.
But one lady said so one guy that was interviewed on BBC News about it, it was a feature. They interviewed him and he said the lady next to me kind of was so agitated. She said, "I better be getting a free wine for this." From the airline for the delay.
Well, who failed? How did they get there in the first place? Did they get through passport control? How?
Nadia,
this is the question where none of us are asking.
Nadia, the airline definitely failed. Who let that pigeon on?
Well, no, the doors open. Pigeons fly into doors.
Yeah, but security, you stand by the door. There's always someone by the door. You can't just have something wandering on.
No, flying in, Ryan.
No, I understand what you're saying, but the door's only open when there's people there.
Yeah, and it just flew in. I don't understand
and no
why
one
you think
stopped
it's not.
it.
Okay, next time next time you're in the middle of Trafalgar Square and a pigeon flies past you, I'm going to be like, Ryan, why didn't you stop it?
Yeah, but that's open space. Look, all I'm saying is if I was on that plane, I would have wanted free shit as well.
I knew you would have
Very
done,
little needs...
And if I was with you, I'd have been like, I'm not with him.
Very little needs to go wrong on a journey for me to demand.
Oh my God, let's just move on because we've got some real nature news to share and I just don't even think that barely scratches nature.
Oh, I'm sorry, clickbait. What was you talking about? Woolly mice? Not long ago. Go on, what have you got then?
Okay, well, this is a story about penguin poo. The headline was how penguin poo can help to mitigate climate change. So this is a study that's been done that apparently I love the word, penguins could be playing a critical role in stabilising the climate in Antarctica.
As if they're choosing not to.
When they go number 2, this is obviously written by an American, according to new research. So the ammonia in the guano, it could help reduce the impacts by creating the cloud formation over Antarctica, which helps insulate it from the sun's heat and therefore keeping temperatures cool.
Interesting.
I read this headline, I was like, oh, this is a load of rubbish. But then actually when you read it, the science sounds really sciencey. So the researchers spent 2 months from January to March 2023 measuring the concentration of ammonia in the air near a colony of 60,000 I don't know how to pronounce this. Maybe you do. It's Adelie. Adelie.
Adelie, yeah.
Yeah, Adelie penguins at Marambio Base in Antarctica. They observed that when the wind blew from the direction of the colony, the ammonia concentration increased to more than 1,000 times higher than the baseline value. So basically, I guess that has a sort of chemical reaction that causes this kind of cloud to appear.
Yeah.
And so the number and size of aerosol particles sharply increased when the wind blew in that direction from the penguins. And there was a fog that then happened, and it remained for 3 hours after the wind change. So it's likely a result of the increased aerosol particles from the ammonia of the poo.
I'm confused about what the solution is. Are we needing penguins to shit more?
I guess, no, we're not. No, that's not what the purpose of the story. I think it's just an interesting...
Ryan's got the wrong end of the stick.
I guess it's just one of those things where, we talk about this quite a lot on the podcast, where it's just like every single thing in our biodiversity ecosystem is interlinked, right? And when you knock one thing, we don't realise the impact it has somewhere else. It's like moving a picture on a word.
Right, okay.
It's like moving a picture on a Word document.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Then everything flies across the page. You're like, whoa! Imagine that, but imagine that like a billion, like 10 billion wajillion times. Every single animal, plant is having an impact on the wider ecosystem, and perhaps all this time, penguins are having an insulating effect on the temperature.
Right,
I guess
see.
it's just one of those, someone might think, oh, what's the point of penguins? Just get rid of them. I'm like, do you know what I mean? People have these ideas that everything plays a part, right?
I've had people say things like that to me about species of animals, like ants, right? People say like, oh, we have ants, what's the point of them? Why don't you just get rid of them? And I just find that a fascinating sentence, because people do say that, and I'm like, yeah, but you work in like recruitment.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point in get rid of you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stop talking about that as if you're a Nobel Prize winner.
Tell me why you're important. So basically, the ice and the ocean ecosystem in Antarctica play a critical role in regulating global temperatures, but researchers are closely watching as climate change causes rapid melt of ice on the continent, as people were well aware that that's happening due to its contribution helping drive important ocean currents, slow global warming and acting carbon sinks. So we need the ice to remain intact in Antarctica. The western portion of that continent is in particular peril of ice shelf retreat. There's a region which is nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier.
Oh, that's manifesting.
It's never going to be good, is it? Which could contribute to 10 feet of sea level rise if it was to melt.
Globally 10 feet?
Yeah. This is why it's called the Doomsday Glacier. This is the fastest changing glaciers in the region. So really understand what's happening locally in Antarctica could allow us to predict how things could change in the future. So, these penguins are doing something significant potentially.
Oh, Delhi penguins, thanks for your shit. Keep doing it. Feed them more.
Feed them more. Yeah.
Have they tried feeding them more?
Stop looking for this to be a bigger solution to climate change. Just stop flying on planes with pigeons.
I really thought when you said it, I was like, oh shit, we found the solution, and it's Adelie penguin poop.
I know that we are a species that does really look for the easy fix, hello diet pills. Do you know what I mean? But let's just...
Yes.
Penguins aren't the diet pill of climate change.
I think you should have more faith in penguins. That's all I'm saying. Hello nerds, sorry to interrupt the show. I've just got a wee favour to ask. We always want Into the Wild to be a free and accessible show, but it does cost to run this thing. So if you're sat there thinking, damn, I love this podcast, and you want to help us out, then head over to coffee.com/intothewildpod, where you can make a one-off donation or set up a monthly support. Anything you give really helps and goes straight back into the running of the show. The link is in the write-up of this episode. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Back onto Nature News.
Crack on. Come on. Pigeons, penguins, and what? Give me another P, surely.
Proposal?
Yeah.
Is the first word in this headline beginning with P.
Great, go on.
But I'm going to change my intro to this story as the Labour government are being cunts again. There's no P in that. But it rolls off the top. But Labour have basically, you would have seen this. They've blocked the proposal for Swift bricks in homes in England.
I didn't see this actually.
And it's just, I can't understand why things like this are so complicated. Like, it's so Basically, there was a proposal to provide every new home in England with at least one swift brick to help endangered cavity nesting birds. So, such as swifts, swallows, starlings, like any bird like that requires that kind of nesting cavity. The amendment bill to ask every developer to provide a £35 hollow brick was rejected, despite the Labour Party having supported the swift brick amendment when it was labelled as a Conservative government legislation in 2023. Matthew Pennycook, the housing minister, said, "We were not convinced that legislating to mandate the use of specific wildlife features is the right approach, whether that is done through building regulations or a freestanding legal requirement." Hannah Bourne-Taylor, who's been on the show before, she's a good friend of yours and mine, Nadia, has been battling this for, I don't know, ever since I've known her. So I mean, 3-4 years campaigning, getting signatures over 100,000. And Hannah's very simple 2 words here is that there's no logic in this.
I suspect there will be a behind-the-scenes lobby somewhere from, big billionaire development-y people who are just like, nonsense sort of wildlife brick sort of thing. I don't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so apparently house builders are incorporating swift bricks in new builds. There was a study at University of Sheffield that found that. But it found that 75% of bird and bat boxes demanded as a condition of planning permission for new housing developments had failed to materialise when the housing estates were actually completed.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Oh,
it's such a simple thing. It's just like,
tiresome.
oh, do you know what? We have to fix all of these problems of like cars and transport and all this. Like, oh, do you know what? Let's just start with some really easy stuff. And it's like, no, not that as well.
This should be like the bog standard. Put that brick in that, and
I also think like it's probably not going to be. It's not one of those things that's going to change the world. But actually, if we start to recognize, these things psychologically have a big impact on how we look about nature. So if culturally, we are a nation that builds houses which are nature friendly, if that's a cultural thing, it will change the mindset of people that live in places, and people will start, even if it's got nothing to do with swifts having more nests, it's got to do with people that don't know about swifts and they can tell their children, oh well, that's a swift brick because there are these birds called swift. Like, it can have a huge knock-on effect. I'm sad.
I know.
Do you want some good news?
Cheer me up.
I was going to have another bit of sad Labour government news, but instead I'm just going to choose a nicer bit of news because I feel like you need it. This is that India's lion population rises by a third. So India's Asiatic lion population has increased by over a third to 891, according to a 5-year census released on Wednesday, boosting efforts to conserve the vulnerable species. And can I just say, a lot prettier than the African counterpart.
The lion?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think they're really, really cute. Yeah,
they are really cute. What part of it is it cuter? Why is it doing it for you?
I think they're just big little Didier. A little. They're smaller and more maybe cat-like, I guess. They're still big. I mean, they're still big and
they're still quite.
They're still going to eat you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's good news.
It was historically once roamed from the Middle East to India and is now reduced to an isolated population in a wildlife sanctuary in India's western state of Gujarat. This is from an article on France 24. The Asiatic lion population was 304 in 1995 and has increased steadily over the past 3 decades. So these things always cause me a concern of like, oh God, have they just ejected a load of indigenous peoples from various communities to create a wildlife population? But from this article, it needs a bigger deep dive because we always note these things with caution. Another important factor here for the survival, according to this article, is that the political will and the support of local people living near the forests, which is where they are. So local people have helped conserve the species, apparently.
Okay, wow.
So it does say here, there's a cattle rearing tribe that lives amongst the animals in the sanctuary, and it's not uncommon to see a pride of lions crossing a highway in the region as motorists wait to watch. So I don't know. It needs a bigger deep dive, but it's just nice to see.
It's. I mean, yeah. If we look at the actual news, the population has gone up, and that is a nice thing to see. There's always going to be complications on the ground. There's always going to be how was that done, but in a biodiversity crisis, a species country population has increased.
Yeah, I want to go see them.
You want to go see them? Shall we get in touch with Rajiv Mathan? We should actually. I'll get in touch with Rajiv and see what he says about this. He's our contact on the ground in India.
Just to find a little piece, and I think it speaks back to Labour's plans, I guess, and watching what they're doing. There is a new budget review coming up on the 11th of June, and it's expected that nature-friendly farming budget is going to be slashed. I mean, there you go. So,
well, that's good then.
Yeah. There's also something else in this article. Again, this is the Guardian article out today, but it also says that biodiversity net gain rules for developers are also expected to be watered down after the Ministry of Housing and Local Government launched a review into the efficacy of developers creating space for nature. What's really frustrating is we've always said that biodiversity net gain is a really, really dangerous place it's a dangerous place to play into developments. You know, this idea that you can offset or like you can just create habitat and there needs to be more biodiversity. It's like, it's not an easy thing, but also, God, you know, let's just have it then, I guess. If we're going to develop, let's make sure that there's more biodiversity after the development than there was before it. That's the idea. But which is also really hard to do, to just create habitat, which then hasn't got legal protections and could probably be destroyed anyway after the fact. You know, for that to be our solution to the nature crisis, you know, when we should just be stopping harmful practices in the first place. But for that now to be watered down, it's just like, this is why, you know, I don't support this kind of thinking or system, which is like offset or carbon targets or whatever. I don't want to talk about the productivity of doing to support more nature. I want to talk about the stopping of harmful practices. So, you know, pesticide licenses, you know, habitat fragmentation, burning on peat bogs, all of these things that are currently still destroyed. I think let's stop those things. So I guess it's one to keep an eye on. I'm going to use, after the budget has actually been shared and for the next kind of stint of the Labour government, I will do a spending review bit for Nature News. Not next week, but it'll be the week after the spending review. I'll do a full breakdown for people so they can understand how Labour's new budget will impact wildlife and nature.
Well, that was a busy and a quick, it felt quick.
It felt super quick, didn't it? Considering we started with a sea shanty.
Nerds, thanks so much for tuning in to another week of Nature News. If you're not already, you know what to do. Follow us on socials. If you've got any spare pounds, pennies, pence, whatever you want to chuck, you can chuck it at kofi.com/IntoTheWildPod, and anything you give goes into the making of our shows. Whatever platform you're listening on, if you're able to review, please give us a review, and we will be back next week with more Nature Nada news from around the world. But until next time, look after yourself. See you later.
Bye.